Welcome back, students. This is your Sujit sir, and I hope all of you are safe and sound. In the previous two classes, we have discussed about the present tense and the past tense. Therefore, in today's class, we will discuss about the future tense. The future tense. Now, students, what do we mean by the future tense? The future tense talks of an action that will or will not take place in the future. Therefore, it refers to an action which has not yet taken place, and the action is expected to take place sometime in the future, that is, after the present time. Let us have a look at this picture. In this picture, we find a bird flying in the sky. And in the second picture, we find a bird sitting on the branch of a tree. It is not flying as the first bird, but it may fly sometime later. So, the second bird has not yet started flying. Therefore, its action of flying will take place later on. This is what is known as the future tense. Now, future tense again has four more forms. Now, let us see what those forms are. The first form of future tense is the simple future tense. Now, what is meant by the simple future tense? It is used to show an action yet to take place. Therefore, the action has not yet taken place. It will take place sometime later, that is, after the present time. Now, students, it is to be noted that in order to construct a sentence in the simple future tense, auxiliary verbs like shall or will is added to the main verb. Look at this picture, students. In this picture, we find a boy standing in a swimming pool. He has not yet started swimming. He may start swimming sometime later. Therefore, his action of swimming will take place after the present time. So, we may call such an action to be in the simple future tense. Now, let us look at some of the examples in simple future tense. Here again we have two kinds of sentences. One is affirmative and the other one is negative. Look at the first sentence, I shall swim, and in the negative, I shall not swim. Then, we shall swim, we shall not swim. Thereafter, you will swim, you will not swim. Now here one thing is to be noted. In the first two sentences, we have used the auxiliary verb shall. But in the third sentence, we have used the auxiliary verb will. Why is it so? Because the first person singular number and the first person plural number. And we all know I is the first person singular number and we is the first person plural number. So if the subject is something like this, that is, if the subject is first person singular number or plural number, we should use shall to construct a sentence in future tense. But if it is second person singular or plural or third person singular or plural, we have to use will and not shall. Therefore, shall is particularly used for the first person singular and the first person plural. He will swim, he will not swim. They will swim, they will not swim. Now let us see the next form of the future tense. The next form of the future tense is known as future continuous tense. Now let us see what this is. It is used to indicate an action that will be in progress over a period of time in the future. So the action must be continuous, it must be in progress, and the action should take place after the present time, that is in the future. Let us have a look at this picture. We find here a boy with a book. Let us suppose that the boy will read and he will continue to read for some time. So such an action may be called the future continuous tense. Students, look at this graph. This will help you understand it in a better way. So there is a progress of an action, the continuity of an action, and the action has not yet taken place. It will take place after the present time. We may call such an action to be the future continuous tense. Now let us see some of the examples. In the affirmative, it is I shall be reading. In the negative, it is I shall not be reading. Now notice the construction of the sentence. We have to use either shall or will, whichever is necessary. We have already discussed that for I and we should use shall, and for rest of the pronouns, we should use will. And what else is needed? We have to use be, and thereafter ing will be added to the main verb. Then we shall be reading, we shall not be reading. You will be reading, you will not be reading. He will be reading, he will not be reading. They will be reading, they will not be reading. Now let us discuss the third form of the future tense. The third form of the future tense is known as future perfect tense. Now let us see what this is. It is used to show the completion of an action by a certain future time. Therefore, there will be an action in the future time, and the sentence in the future perfect tense will indicate when that particular piece of work will come to an end. Now look at this picture. We find an old man sitting in his office. Now let us suppose he is going to be retired in the next few months. Therefore, his retirement will take place in the future, and we know what the time is. Now look at these examples. He will have retired from service by November in the next year. So future perfect tense always indicates a certain time in the future when the action will get completed. Look at the next sentence. I shall have finished this storybook by the end of this month. So somebody will read a storybook and he knows that he will be able to finish reading the book at a certain point of time in the future. So such sentences may be called the future perfect tense. Now let us have a look at the fourth and the final form of the future tense. The fourth form of the future tense is known as future perfect continuous tense. Now what is meant by the future perfect continuous tense? It is used to show an action in progress over a period of time in future and that will end in future. So again there will be a continuity of an action. The action will keep on taking place over a period of time. Therefore, such an action is called the future perfect continuous tense. Now look at this picture. The man is walking on the road. Now suppose that he will continue to walk tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. His action will be considered as a continuous action, and that will take place in the future time. So such an action which will be in progress over a period of time in future is called the future perfect continuous tense. Now let us have a look at some of the examples. He will have been traveling for 2 days. Therefore, in the future, the man will keep on traveling for the next 2 days. So it is a kind of continuous piece of work which will take place over a period of time in future. She will have been teaching for 30 years this winter. Now the teacher will keep on teaching in the future, and by the coming winter, it will be as many as 30 years that she will be doing the task. Now students, let me tell you clearly, the future perfect tense and the future perfect continuous tense are not so much in use. Still, all of us should know how they are constructed and how we should use them in a sentence. So I hope that all of you have understood it very clearly. Now it's a matter of using them appropriately wherever needed. See you all in the next class. Thank you.